tonight's talk really is about the software called OHP. Now, some of you, I know you've heard of it, haven't you?
Yes.
And one or two other people might have used it, but OHP is mainly a presentation program for slides, and obviously if you have a whole load of bullet points you want to sort of put them up on the screen, this is what it will do for you. But there are some other aspects of OHP which are really quite nice actually. Let me just go through a quick slideshow with you, and then you'll see some of the aspects of OHP. It's that one there. And what I'll do is I haven't got much flexibility here, have I? But,
you can have a bit of a walk around, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I just prefer sometimes to walk around, it makes me feel a bit more comfortable. It's obviously presentation software, that was what it was built for. And Tony Still is the designer. He's I don't think he's doing very much on the risk-cost side now, but he did quite a lot. You remember the Photodesk package?
Yeah.
He was sort of, that was like an ally package. He didn't do Photodesk, but I think this is one of his own. It was owned by Space Tech, or they distributed it. I'm sure you all remember. But OHP now is distributed by CJ Micros. As it says up there, dead easy to use. It really is very, very simple. I missed one there.
Yeah.
The features really, you can do time slideshow, which you can do in most of these packages. You can do transitions, and also you can display hidden slides. I don't know if you can do that in PowerPoint. You probably can. I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes, I thought you could.
PowerPoint's expert on the available here.
Brilliant. Very similar to PowerPoint, although obviously much more simplified. There's a whole lot of mouse and keyboard functions as well. Over.
And of course you're using this on a remote mouse.
Device I'm using is Kensington, which is a remote mouse really, which Tony actually implemented in one of his packages. The one I've got here is the latest one, which you can't get from CJE, by the way, if anybody wants this. And what you'd have to do is, if you were interested in it, you have to approach CJE, buy it. I think it's quite expensive, really quite high, I think about 40 quid. I think it's a lot for something like this. It's quite an old package. And you can get an update from Tony, and he's still available. You can actually still contact him if you wanted to. And that allows you to operate this device, which most people use on PowerPoint. There's a preview screen as well, which is quite useful if you want to do some quick checks on your slideshow. These are the things it displays. Artworks, you can read anyway, because I don't have to read that for you, but artworks drawn sprite images. Incidentally, I haven't put on there the most obvious one, JPEGs. It will display JPEGs. Oh, it's not, actually, I've missed that out. The things like PNG, GIF or TIFF, unfortunately, doesn't display those, which is a little bit of a shame, really. But don't forget, it's an older package, it's quite an old one, really, now. It's been out for years, actually. But it still has its uses. That's very useful. If you have a camera that uses EXIF information, this thing will understand it. It'll decode it. So if you take your picture with the camera on its side, it will actually write it, put it up the right way. Yeah, I'll show you that later on, how it does it. So it's very quite nifty, actually. You know what I'm talking about later on. It's compatible with WAV and Amadeus sound files, which are very old formats now, as we probably all know.
Can you actually edit Amadeus files on anything? I've never.
Very unlikely.
I vaguely.
WAV certainly. WAV.
I vaguely remember Amadeus files like many years ago.
Yes.
I wasn't sure you could edit them then, but
probably not actually. I mean, WAV was the thing, but I just put it in because that's what it says it does. I've never used Amadeus. I don't think I have anyway.
I don't think most people.
No, probably not. The negatives, unfortunately, this is really annoying. It can't process it in MP3. For me, that's rather an annoying sort of negative, if you like. It can't handle video, as you can imagine. It's you know what risk is like. It just doesn't have the power to handle video formats. And you can't play animations, which I wish it did really. I mean, things like GIF animation would be really nice for me, because then I could actually put some of my demonstration stuff on there and show it as a slideshow. But I can't do it, unfortunately. I come to a simple slideshow. it's very easy to say what you're doing. You drag your directory of JPEGs, images, over the icon bar, which I'll show you in a moment, and it comes up with that little thumbnail window. Is anybody familiar with this? Buddy? You've got
Yes.
that? Yes. Anybody else? No. No. Okay. Oh, okay. And then you just Control S, and it runs a slideshow for you, and it'll just pop up the first picture here, then the next one, then the next blah blah blah. But you obviously you have to use either one of those, or you can go through using arrow keys, or you can use page up and page down. By the way, this thing relates to page up and page down. This is why it works. On some packages, those keys are not operational, but on this package, it is actually operational, which allows you to use this. Another thing is, by the way, you can blank the screen by doing that. The button there, right? I like that. Silly things, you know. But anyway, so it goes through the slideshow for you. We can, as I said, arrow keys to go forward and backwards. Escape to exit it. Automatic slideshow, very easy to do again. You menu button over the main window, which is that thumbnail window I showed you earlier, and then you select presentation control. And on here, if you select presentation control by menuing on the background on images, you get this window here, and you can set auto show. Show when loaded, that's when you, if you want to sort of click on it, double click the file for an OHP, it should automatically load for you without having to put it onto the icon bar. See what I mean? I'll come to that later anyway. Not very clear, probably the way I've said it. So we set the boxes as required. There's some other things like the attendance slide, which I've just forgotten to mention. You can show us as a loop as well if you want to do a continuous thing. That's quite good if you've got a lot of images you want to go through. On a loop. If you should, maybe it'll show that, so quite a good idea. There's a thought. So we click set at the bottom here, and that will allow us to run it. When we do, it automatically goes through the slideshow and turn with our Control S. So you saw more or less how it is done. Very, very simple as I say, but I'll show you anyway physically how it's done. We'll run a simple slideshow, and I'll show you how I do the bulleted points that you see on here. It's very simple, but it's when you haven't done it before, it looks quite complicated, but it's not really. So anyway, so we go through that basic show, and let's. I've got a crib sheet here because I need to know what I'm doing. There's a few things that I need to get right here. What I'm going to do is just show you with JPEGs. I've got a JPEG directory here, you can all see it. If I open that and drag JPEG over Private Eye, which you probably all use, do you see automatically it's the wrong way around, this image, so it's not much use to me as it is. And we're going to go through it. There's another one there, wrong way around. And another, that one's fine, that one's wrong, that one's fine. So we'll escape out of that. With this OHP, it's already on the icon bar because I've actually run the OHP before already, as you can see. If I drag that JPEG directory over here, over the icon, yeah, and it then loads it. Wow, it's a nice one, isn't it? It puts the thumbnails that are in that directory on the backdrop here. If I Control S to run it, I hope this works. And it doesn't. How about that? It sits on a little bit. That actually, these should be sort of. These should have automatically rotated. I don't know why it's doing that. All right. Bear with me for a minute, guys.
Is it because you loaded it into Private Eye first?
No, it should do this right. I think that's a good point. No, it's not that. Just try it one more time. Let's quit it and do it again.
You've a choices option on that.
Sorry?
You've a choices option on that direction.
Yes, but no, I don't think there's one in there to alter the thumbnails. As far as I know, there isn't. Let me just, that's my way of getting OHP on the thing, by the way, on the icon. Just keep that. And we'll drag the JPEG structure there again. What do we? Isn't that strange? Yeah, I don't know why it's happening actually, isn't it? A number of times I've gone through this and it works every time.
It's the Wakefield Club.
It is, it's got something to do with that.
We call this the joy of presentations.
Yeah, I'm just wondering actually, I've just had a thought. I think my exit information is not contained in the files here. I think I've taken them out, that's why.
Right. Yeah.
If the exit information's gone, which is that's what's happened here, I'm sure of it now, then it can't do anything.
Yeah.
It just keeps them as they are,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a shame there.
Have you got something from just your SD card then?
Yeah, I can probably
Or a
find some
small
others
section
actually.
of,
Let's have a look here. It's nice to see it working though, as I say. Working properly, that is.
Is OHP, is it 32-bit?
Yes.
So there's no, you don't need to run, what's it called, the rotate or anything like that? You know, the alignment exceptions?
No, nothing like that. It will work. I mean, I'm amazed. I didn't think it would work with the alignment exceptions on. It does. It works perfectly.
Because I've got a Panda board, so
Ah.
I was kind of thinking this would be...
You need to try it really, because as I say, I don't know what it's like on the Panda.
Yeah, I think I'll ask CJE, because splashing out
Yes.
40 quid for a bit of software.
I know.
doesn't work,
It's a lot of money actually, I quite agree with you.
Yeah.
Let me just try and find... no, it's not, if I take... Oh, hang on a minute, I better have a look at those, haven't I? Just see where they are on the side. That's not...
Adult audience.
That's my house.
yeah, very old. Yeah. Oh,
That's it. Your
none of
pen name
those are
is
any
Jack
good because they're all
O'Beal, is it?
protected properly.
That's right, yeah. My country residence.
Yes.
Nice one. Okay, that one, 3593. I'll just take this down. Memory these days is terrible. Come on. Let's go for another one. Let's go for that one there, 3603. That's on its side, I'm sure. So that's 3607. Right. So let's have get our JPEGs up again. No, wait, I'll put another one. I'll just create another directory. I'd just like to just prove this, actually it does work, this thing. These are very large files. It doesn't matter for the benefit of this test, as it were. And so we've got JPEG 2 there. If we bung that over there, okay, you can see it does actually work. It does, it's read the X information, it knows that the camera's been turned on its side, so it says, right, we want to make sure it's corrected, so we put it the right way up. So if I play that, Control S, it takes a while to load, by the way, they're big files, and it's quite slow to load them. So as you can see, it goes through it properly this time. Yeah? That's thrown me.
Presumably then cameras must have, or some cameras must have some sort of orientation sensor.
That's
They
it.
do, yeah.
That's part of the exit information. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that error orientation sensor that's sent. It sends the data from that.
Yeah.
Because interestingly, I'm left-eye dominant, so I turn the camera the other way to everybody else.
Yeah.
Well,
My wife turns it both ways depending on route she's in.
Yeah, all right.
I'll put that up again, by the way, just to show you that you can do an auto show. Do you remember when I said if you click menu on the background and then do, I think, presentation control, up here you get this window here, and if you select auto show and set that, and if I do a control S again, it should just go through it automatically now with a 5-second delay.
Yeah.
Let's see if it does that. Which it is, it seems to be doing it correctly. It goes, I think I've said on here, let me have a look at what I put, what's the setting there, presentation control. Normally, if I put omit end slide, that's what it'll do. For some reason, it's actually done it already. I would put it omit end slide because I don't want the end slide, by the way, because it's the black one.
Yeah.
And that's your master slide, if you like, although it's a pseudo slide, it doesn't really exist as such. You just dump all your images actually onto that black area, if you like. If we want to add some more, 20 JPEGs, let's have another look at that one there. That's a different one, so we can put that in here, and that will be our last slide. Can you see? But of course you can change the, if you don't want that order, you can obviously say you want that as the second slide, so you just plug it up there, just drag it into a new position. Or you can make it the first slide, I'll bring it over that one. And if you want to show again, it'll always go in that order, from the top, top left if you like that, and then down here, so obviously reading from left to right, and that obviously is a black slide, which shouldn't show. You can, on here, you can actually specify, if we take that off for a minute, we take the auto show off, set it. If I do Control A on all these, I can actually specify a particular time for any of the slides. So let's go for, no, I won't do Control A, we'll click that one, and we'll look at the slide attributes, which is this one here, edit, try attribute, which is Control I. And it comes up with this other little window down here. Well, if I put in here auto show, but then specify a time for it, yeah, 5 seconds is fine for that. So we'll set it, and then maybe the next one we'll set that to do Control I by the same as attributes, that's the same window. We'll do that for 10 seconds, like that. That's the target time of the slide, right down the bottom here. Then set it. Next one, we'll Control I again on that, make the attributes for that one. Actually, I could have done previous and next down here. There's a previous and next thing which I'll come to in a minute. So we do auto show on that. 5 seconds, yeah, that's okay. Set that, next, auto show, and set that one for 10 seconds. Set. Now one thing I didn't do, if I go back, I didn't set all these auto shows on every slide, so let's just go back to the first one again and just check that. So that's the first one, that's auto shows on. Next one, auto shows off, I want to have that on. Next one is auto show on, it's 5 seconds. Next one is auto show, and it's 10 seconds. So if I say set that and run it again, Control S. I said 5 seconds for that. I mean, you can type it if you like, but it will show approximately those times. You can go down to that's a long one, 10 second one I've set up. You can go on for 1 second. But not with these very high big images. The larger the
to load.
it takes a long time to load. That's the problem with it. So that 1 second on there that you saw for auto show will do it, but you will have very small picture sizes. You're looking at maybe about 300k. That sort of size. Here they're 4.5 megabyte. That's really a bit too big, really, for this this program. Sorry, off set up really.
If you've got them all set, if you have them set to say 3 seconds, 2
Yes.
seconds, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and then you think, I've not set them all to auto show. If you select all and do auto show, will that change all the timings as well?
It should show the, as far as I know, it does. Let me have a look. So we do Control I on that. Actually, the best thing to do is turn it off, isn't it?
Ah, right, so it's,
Yeah.
no, I was just wondering. You
So
said,
if I do that, it should have taken all the, or show off all of them now.
I
So
was
if we do it
wondering
again.
about the timings because when
Oh, sorry, timings, yeah.
yeah, because
Apologies.
I thought if you set all the timings up, But you can see there's question marks in the, which obviously means don't alter the,
That's it.
which is not.
It's now been confused because I've switched that off and I've already specified those times, which I think it's sort of got really, it's messed it up a bit now. That just shows you I can't handle this. I can't give you an exact response or exact time. But if we go back again to those, I mean, you probably noticed that control R again. Sorry, going back up to that one again. I'd have to reset those now to whatever times I wanted. So if I put 1 second in there,
Well, that would set them all to 1 second, wouldn't it?
it would in this case. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But I just specify the one, the single slide. So that would specify do the whole lot. I said auto show now. Set. Just check it again. Oh, come on. The target time is 4 seconds, so you're right. Every one has now been set automatically to 1 second. That was the previous one. But of course, as I've said, you can do whatever times you want on there, really, pretty much. It's quite flexible in that respect. The other thing is, by the way, that I would want to cover very quickly was the transition time. I won't go into too much detail because it can be a bit boring. Transitions are, I think they're Control T. Is that right? I need to look at this guy. I forget it every so often. Yeah, Control T or transition. This is a window especially for effects, really. But a lot of them I'm not over keen on, like all these sort of effects. So we've selected the whole lot because every image has a red bar, sorry, red rebounded, a red mark, red box. So that means they're all selected. So if my favourite is dissolve, and it shows you a little window here what it's like. Where it does the dissolve. If you do a test, that's what it's going to be like. We can do a cover, test that, and then there's lots of little options here on cover. You've got from top. Bottom. I don't like a lot of the effects at all when I'm running a show. I want to make it as simple as possible. I think it just confuses everybody. So I tend to just use dissolve. You've got the others if you want to use them. So that's how you set that up. The other thing is there's a sort of a presentation preview. That's down here, show preview. If I bring that up to you, you can actually do a slideshow in the desktop. If you're happy with it, then you can go to full screen. It's quicker to do it this way, particularly when the images are smaller. So we start off with that's the start of the slideshow, which is that top image there, and we go to the end, click on that one, which is that one there, obviously. So we can go back to the start again, and then just go through each slide like that, just to see whether you're happy with it, really. And if you're happy, then you can do a full screen, save that, and do a full screen.
Oh, it's gone.
Do I need to stop?
That's it's half. No, carry on.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes between the two of them.
There's another thing that is quite useful, if I can demonstrate it, is there's a thing in here. Oh, sorry, let's get rid of that. There's a thing called I call it a hidden slide. If I put that in, say, let's put it over this one here. No, we'll put it over that one. It's a saguaro moon. I don't know if anybody knows about the astronomy here. So nice picture, actually.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I can make that a hidden slide by, I think you have to go to edit. Edit. Is it an attribute? I think it's an attribute in the hidden slide there. If I make that particular slide a hidden one and set it, and we'll switch off the auto for these because I want to do a manual slideshow now. So once again, attributes, it's the same window, but we want to make that. We don't want to show, we want that hidden. I don't know what's happening there.
I think now you've hidden them all, haven't you?
Yes.
I probably yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have hidden all. Fine, well done. Yes, this is trigonometry. Let's go back to this again. Yeah. I want to auto show off, don't I? So that's not right. That's all.
I think if you select them all, and then
Yeah, I'm just
because it's got the question mark on the
on the target time.
when you did them
Yeah.
all, it had the question mark. So I think that means it doesn't know what to do, so it won't update that field.
That's probably two. Hang on. Okay, then let's do Control A and I again.
You see how it's question
Yes,
rather than so.
yeah.
I think that means it's going to leave it alone because.
Should we see?
So if you click auto, if you click auto show, that'll turn it off.
I don't know. That's right.
And then click
So
set, it will.
it should
It'll leave
remember
it
that.
hidden
hopefully.
alone because it'll go. I can't.
Let's see how clever it is.
Because that's what I was wondering if it could handle that because that would be quite nice.
Okay. Well, that's a good point actually. Let's run it again. I said it was the second slide, didn't
That's
I?
right, yeah.
So if anybody asks a question on this one, and I would automatically prepare a slide for that particular question to be answered. So I would say go on to the next slide. It's obviously, because it's hidden,
Yeah. Yeah.
it won't show. But what I can, is go through the whole show as though it's not there, it's transparent. So we've gone through the whole show. Let's go back again to the beginning. So that's my first one, and we know we've got a hidden slide because we've already set it as hidden. But to get that one, I would click the control, or hit the control key, and it shows a little window down the bottom here. And that is sort of like another thumbnail, but I can then advance it to the hidden slide that would answer the question that you've asked. It wouldn't actually, but you know what I mean.
Can you tell me what the Sugano moon is?
Sorry, I can't tell you.
Just so we have to show it.
It should work, but it's not. I don't know why. Typical when you demonstrate something. Alright. Let's make sure we've got all the tributes set properly. That's okay. Yeah, so next should be hidden, which it is. Next. Yeah, we're okay on those, aren't we? No reason it shouldn't work, really. Let's make sure the presentation is set for automatic as well. Let's another go. That's not running out. Funny. It's definitely the second slide. It should have loaded it by now. So if I click on it again and then do a forward. That's interesting. It doesn't work on the page up and down. It only works on the on these keys. That's something I've learned actually.
Yeah.
So it only works on your own keys.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've seen what happens. So you can press that. Sorry. Once that's showing, you can release the control key, and then it shows. Okay, easy, really, isn't it? Does PowerPoint have that?
PowerPoint has hidden slides.
I thought it has.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought it would have it. Most of them have these things now, I think. Right, let me just quickly check. I've got everything I've covered here. Give you some. I think you've got some ideas anyway. I'm sorry about some of the demonstrations not working very well. I've done the presentation preview, shown the hidden slides. There is one last thing which can be useful to some people. Let's discard that lot. We don't really need all that lot. If we click on this again. That's an empty window ready to receive any images to be put in. But if I click on that and then click on gallery, you've got a whole lot of backgrounds you can use. I'm not over keen on lots of backgrounds because I think it can mar the result. But if you wanted it there, and all you do is then you just drag those over your black rectangle here. And that now becomes a slide. Well, that's no use because you don't want it to be a slide, you want it to be a background. So you can actually make that by clicking on that and going menuing on the background, and it should be, I think it's presentation, make background on there. So now that background, that is background for every slide you put in there in the future. So if we click off that, and then let's go to our JPEG again. I'm just checking on those, and we put those in there. I think in this case I'm going to have to put them in separately now because I'm not going off the icon bar. So if we select those and drag them in, it gives you just an approximation of what the background is. Unfortunately, it's not very accurate, because if I run that now, do you see the backgrounds showing on the sides? Oh, it is okay. Actually, it is all right. Some of the slides, it doesn't show them accurately in the thumbnail, but it does actually in this case. I think it's because they're all landscape, portrait rather. So that is basically how you do backgrounds. Yeah? So if I now discard that. There's some of the things you can do. I found that, for photography, if I've done a whole load of stuff that, where the camera's been altered in different directions, it's quite useful to just chuck them into this program and just go through them, because you don't have to worry about rotating them. So for that point of view, it's quite useful, but of course it's really a slide roadshow program. It wasn't really designed for that, I don't think, originally, but it gives you some idea what you can do with it. What I wanted to show you is how I actually do these things here, the bullet points. Actually quite easy. So what I would do is have a look at the bullet list here. What have you done? And you've got the same as, because I think that's very difficult to see, so I've actually printed it out. It's just a pure list of bullets, but how you actually make the list and make the use artworks to put them in as well. What I do first of all is I make the list in StrongEd rather than actually type them into, say, artworks. I mean, you could go and put all the stuff into artworks, but my spelling's awful, so I need a spell checker. So with this way, it can check it for me before I actually put it into artworks, and then I dump the artworks file into OHP. So that's the process I use. I don't know if it's the best one or not. That's just one I use myself. So what I would then start with was up here is a border template in artworks. And that template relates to the actual screen edge. So if I run it, it'll cover this whole screen. Yeah? And just to show you that it does do that, if we, let's just bring that up. Oops, sorry. Border templates there. If I put that border template in OHP and run it, Control S, do you see the edge there? It's probably not so easy to see, but I have very clear on my monitor. It goes right up to the extreme edges. So I know that that's my area I can write in, which is a nice area to write in, as you can see. So we get rid of that for the time being. What we do here, it says slideshow texture from monitor screen, which is what you should do if you can, because you've got an audience that might be at the far end there, so they won't see anything unless it sort of fills the whole screen, really. So you draw an accurate rectangular border, which is what I've drawn here. If anybody wants to know how to do that, by the way, I can show them. It's quite clever, actually. It uses a utility, which I can come to later on if anybody's interested. That one there, unit convert. Anybody use that? Brilliant little program. Absolutely brilliant. If you're interested, I'll come to it. Anyway, you make your border like that. Then it says set border thickness to 3 to 5 points. This is just a guide. I like to have thick borders so I can actually see the borders there and make sure it's actually it'll be seen by everybody. So if I click on Control A on that screen, and then if I do Control F4, that sets the thickness, the line thickness, okay, of the border, and I'll set that to about 3. So I've got a nice thick border there, and what I'll do is I'll save that because in case I mess it up. So we'll save it as my slideshow. Slideshow. I don't know if anybody's used this program here. It's Nextbar. It's by Mr. Anybody remember his name?
Making this thing now.
It's Paul Vigay.
Oh, right.
Great guy. It's so sad he's died. Really sad. He did some lovely software already for weekend. Brilliant guy. But anyway, another story. So I've saved it in there. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to get rid of all this rubbish here because this is from a previous session and I don't really want all that in there. So let me bin that. Yeah, that's alright, no problems. Right, so I've saved my slideshow down here in this directory. What I need to do then, it says draw out a text area. So let's do that in Artworks. So it's already set for text area here. So we just draw out that, like that. Try and take it fairly close to the border, because that allows you to increase the text size as well, make it as big as possible. And the next thing is in a strong edit. So it has, I've got here in a strong edit text file, text for each bullet. So we add the text. Why do this? It's obviously because of spelling checking. If I did it, I could write all this in now as bullet points here. My first bullet point, blah blah blah. Already made a spelling mistake. So rather than do that, it's far better to write it in strong ed and then transfer it, drag it into the text area. And it says here, drag text file over the text area box and select clipboard, press Ctrl V. So let's do that. So we bring up a save box, F3, drag it into there. Now, Artworks asks us this question. The answer is clipboard. When you're using text area, use clipboard, you pass on if you want to use the ordinary text. I don't know if anybody knows all about that. I don't think it works on it if you press pass on. It just, in this case, it won't work. So I click in there in the text area and do a Control V, and it puts all my text that you've got there and here straight into Artworks file, right? The first thing I want to do is to probably put a return in there. The text area works in a very funny way. It uses, you see this has got a return, a double return I think on here. No, it hasn't, it's only got a single return. But it's, yeah, no, it is working properly. It works on paragraph gaps, so it actually makes these look as separate paragraphs. That's what it's doing. Hence you won't get another return in there, even if you put a double return here, so have a return there. I think it just ignores it. How many returns? I don't know. I've not tried that, but how many returns, you've got to be careful about that. If you put lots of returns and expect them to be there in text, it won't happen. So you've got to put them in yourself. Oh, we only want one. The bullet points are fine, they're fantastic. My first thing would be to enlarge that. So I'd probably put that to 30 point. Nice big heading so people can see it. You've basically got all your major slide, which is the last one in the sequence there. And what it says here, if you have a look at the, you probably see that better now than even reading your script here, if you look at your sheet there. This is the final slide. 9 points plus title plus 2 spares. It's a rule of thumb I use to know how many slides I need in the sequence. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 1 for the title, that's 10, plus a couple of spares, which, if in case you want to set other text in there, invariably you forget a bullet point, you've got to put it in somewhere. It's easier putting it at the beginning and at the end. It's in the middle where it throws out the whole system, it can do, but it's that's just for your own... I like to have a nice flow when I see this, because if I'm not using PowerPoint, I like to put it into something like this, you know, into Private Eye, and just check out what it looks like, see if it looks good, before putting it to HP perhaps. But anyway, lots of choices there really. So it says save AW file, naming it say 12, so let's do that. So F3, I'm going to save it as 012 into here, to my file, temporary file dump, which is really only a directory. Now we have to go back with the other slides, so we're going backwards, yeah? So we've got all the main points, so we need to sort of do individual slides. But what I do quite like doing on these is I like to do this. I click on that little icon there, it'll give me text colouring, and I like to set that to 10% black, so it gives it a fade. So all the points you go through are faded, the previous ones are faded, which means that if you're stuck on that one there, but you think, well, maybe, I can't remember what the last one was, but it's always there, but it'll be faded. So I quite like that, it seems to work quite well for me. So I can say that again, and then I just work backwards to get the other slides in the sequence. Very easy this.
I think you just said that as 11 or something, shouldn't you?
As 12.
As 12 again.
Yeah, because this is that's my main slide now. If I just put 12 up now, you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah, I just rewrote over it. It's, that's the point I'm coming to now. I'm going to go 11, 10, 9, just go on down the sequence. But of course we'll have to get rid of the bullet points each time we go down. You'll see how easy it is really. So we've got, sorry, ignore that. So we'll delete that one, but make that one black. And save it as 11. Yep. You've got to do this carefully because it's dead easy to make a mistake and your sequence goes out.
Yeah.
So Control X for that one goes to black. F3, that'll be 10. Get rid of that. Black. 009. Control X. Oop, get off. Black. Save that one as 8. Get rid of that. Save that one as black. 7. Control X. Make that black. Save that as 6. Get rid of that. Make that black. Save it as 5. Control X. Make that one black. Save that one as 4. And I tend to like to make the heading as my first slide. So I always make sure I get rid of all the bullet points and leave that one as my last, that's my main title. And I saved that, didn't I? As 3, which I did. And they're all in there. So we can now get rid of that. Just to check that the slides are all okay, I can just dump that now into Private Eye, and we can just go through them quickly. Sorry, to make sure they're looking good.
So you could almost use Private Eye as
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And the only thing about it is that you get the furniture. Window furniture looks horrible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're showing a slide, you want everything clear. If you're making points to people, you've got to make them. I mean, this is far too long. All these things. I'd never do this in a slideshow normally. But you need the points as concise as possible, as large as possible. Utilise the whole screen if possible, as much as you can. Because you've got to think about the audience. You might have one person, all the way down there somewhere.
Does Private Eye not do full screen, or?
No,
I don't think it does actually. No, it doesn't. I don't think it does. I'm sure. No, I know. Good point.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a cheap way of doing it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But
Yeah. Good
this
point.
is the thing, because I did something about presentation software earlier on this year, and it said basically what is presentation,
Yeah.
where it's something that gets rid of all your window furniture.
Yes. That's good way of summing it up.
number
Actually.
one,
Yeah, it's a good way of summing it up. It's
Yeah.
true.
But because I've done PowerPoint for donkey's years,
Yes.
what I have is a guideline of no more than 45 words a slide.
Yeah.
That's really good, because that usually narrows you down to
Yeah.
about 6.
Yes.
Because as I say, and we have some holes like this at work, people may be 200 feet away.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if you're going to have more pictures, less words,
Mm.
you're going to have more words, more slides.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
There are lots of rules made up, they're very good, a lot of
Yeah.
rules I've read.
Yeah.
I think you just mentioned some of
Yeah.
those extra
Yeah.
ones as well.
Well, as I said, I've done PowerPoints
Yeah,
since
so
maybe
you're quite an expert.
1993,
Yeah.
something like that.
Wow, that's going back a long time.
Well, it was
I'm probably a bit newer than
It was
that.
Windows 3, let's put it that
That's a
way.
prison sentence.
Yeah, that's
Also,
So I mean, obviously now you've got more. What you do then, you'd in this case, my file dump goes over to the OHP icon, dump it all in there, and this just to show you that it does work, properly. We hope anyway. I would then do Control A and then set the attributes on the slides. There's nothing we don't want to mess about any of those things. We don't want auto show. We don't want hidden. We want keep proportion. These are standard, by the way. The display things come up, and they are pretty standard. Most people keep them as they are, so we can say cancel on that. What I'd like to do is just to alter the transition, and probably put a dissolve in there and set that for all slides, as you can see. So if I run that now. If I run that now, I've not set any auto on it, so it should just go through them as and when I want them. So we can use the arrow key, the first one. I quite like the transition. It gives a sort of gentle thing to a fade, which I think is quite nice. It's not too tight on the eyes. Next one, and so on and so forth. I mean, it looks as though it's working correctly. I'd have a larger text size on that, by the way. It's a little bit small, particularly for those people at the back. You're following this? There's a man who's following it. Good man.
Yeah.
And the line length, far too long. I'd never, ever, I'd hope I wouldn't ever use that line length. It's too long for people. They think, it's too much to take in. They just want a single line, and it's supposed to be a reminder for me. And I shouldn't really be reading it. I should be highlighting a point and then discussing it with everybody. So
That's right.
there are lots of rules on this, but that's basically how I put this together.
That's half an hour.
It's half an hour.
Or a flat battery. So,
Interesting, isn't it?
So we can, I could say that, I suppose.
Star Trek-y noises.
isn't it just, yeah. I have to get the right one now, so you can't, so I've just pressed the wrong one. Like you do.
Right. Get rid of that. Right. The only other thing, I did mention to you sound, didn't I? This is interesting. You guys might be able to help actually. But anyway, let's let me just show you a sound demonstration. That's the sort of some of the pictures you've seen, but I've actually added soundtracks, the WAV files, to 3 of them. And I'll just show you, it's probably better just to run it through first. I can't remember. So you can actually do that. You can. So if I click on this first one here, and there's a thing called Control E for sound effects. What I do is I specify the length, or I measure the length of the sound file to correspond with that slide, say. So I mean, in this case, I think it's something like 10 seconds. I'll get all 10 seconds actually. So 10 seconds of sound with 10 seconds selected for the slide to be shown. and you just literally drag the sound into this window, and it puts it onto this writable text bar. It automatically goes to the no sound effect to use this effect. It does that automatically for you. And you then select the play control now. I think that has to be set up automatically. We have to do that. Very good. Oh, thanks. I like to use it, play at start transition, but it says play on if slides changes. You've got these sort of various options here. And basically that's all there is to it. You've got a test button there, so if you've put the sound in, you're not sure about it, you just quickly check and stop it.
So you could have a presentation and then record the voice on it, and then you don't even need to bother turning it on.
You're too clever. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
you could.
clever now, sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky. Yeah, that's very sneaky. Isn't it, John? Look at that.
So you can't show the hidden slide.
No, actually, not sure it's inside here. There must be a way.
Reversely.
So basically, I mean, that's all there is to the main aspects of it. I mean, you've got quite a nice little package. I mean, considering it's an ancient package, but it's still very powerful, really.
And so, say when I did the review of it, I said effectively, if you could build the full slide and deconstruct it, which is effectively what it's doing, it's making multiple slides from your master, as you were saying. If that was part of the programme, I'd be a lot happier. I would upgrade, in fact, just to have that. Right, there's that screen. Because what I do on PowerPoint, I've done some stuff, as I say, it becomes interactive in Flash, is you might have a heading, then you might have some text and a picture, and some other text and maybe two pictures, or two bits of text and no pictures, and then a picture at the end on the fourth bullet point and stuff like that. And then sort of getting your head around which one am I actually doing, So you get a bit lost unless you do it in the PowerPoint, do it all at once.
Yes.
And then specify the order.
I think that's the thing. It's the problem. If it's very long, it can get very heavy, and it's actually quite difficult to keep track of the slides.
Yes. Yeah.
I quite agree. But this, the project, that does help actually. You can do a quick slideshow without doing.
And I suppose if you were keen as well, you could possibly do a macro to do all because it's effectively a whole load of repeated things using bullet points backwards, isn't it?
I suppose you mean the way. Yes, I suppose you could do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to automate it and just generate all the slides.
I'm sure lots of things that you could do. I mean, I've not looked at that side of it because I don't do enough of them.
No.
I mean, really, you would probably have to do something like that to automate it if you're doing lots of them. I tell you, it's funny, I was giving a talk to U3A about, mainly about Briscoes.
Yeah.
And God, it's really hilarious. I was actually showing them basics behind artworks using a slideshow because I thought it'd be just an introduction, how you use it, what the tools that you were going to use. And I only went for the very simple ones. These here, those six, which are the absolute element. You've got to have those. You've got to know them. It doesn't matter about text. Those are the tools you need if you're an artist. Basic tools. And then at the end of it, I spoke to the chap who was who ran this club. It's a computer club. And he said, the trouble is the guy didn't know whether you were in OHP, presentation software, or artworks. And I thought, oh God, what hope do I have? He couldn't work out which one I was in. And that just shows you, when people are Windows orientated, they don't have any concept of anything else. This is just alien to them, completely, utterly alien. And I did go through some of the filing system commands with them, just to show how similar it is to Windows, which it is. Very similar. But they were completely confused. I thought, crikey, maybe I was not explaining this well, but I did it twice, and he said both times, they said they're not really up to understanding this.
Well,
I thought, wow.
Interesting at work. I mean, we've got a big monitor like you have, and of the 4 people who work with, there's only one who's fairly young and computer literate.
Yes.
And he'll have 2 windows on the screen at one time. I have about 5 overlapping ones. And people say, what are you doing? I said, well, it's all just there. I don't have to go finding it because I can see it. If I rearrange it all, I can see it all at the same time.
Yeah.
And you sort of go,
Yeah, people
I didn't know you could do
bamboozled.
that with Windows. So
No.
well, you can, but
Yeah, you can.
there are other operating systems it's easier
Yeah.
with.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah. But I think that's a good point you mentioned there. You know, you can't help but have a fair number of windows in on the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'd explain this one here.
Yeah.
This really bamboozled them, I tell you.
Yeah.
Going up to, I don't think anybody uses more desk.
Oh.
And I find that really good actually.
no.
Because you can,
I was explaining to somebody about that. You can have 25 virtual
Yes.
screens. Said,
yeah.
I
There is
just
a
have the
limit.
one with maybe 25 windows on, but when you've got 25 with 25 windows
Yeah.
on, I have no idea where your head is then.
You said they use 90 of these blooming things. I'm like, that's ridiculous, come on. I use about probably 6 out of 9. Now I've got
Yeah.
9 on there. But the beauty is you can set up each window display
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the session you're doing. So if I'm doing artworks, I'll go onto this artworks thing. If
yeah.
I'm doing photography, I go onto that. And then you can load all your software that you need for that
Yes.
particular session. I mean, it's a really good, clever idea, that.
Yeah.
Really love that software. It's marvellous.
What's the software to the right of that on the icon bar?
Go to the right of it.
To the left, between...
Oh, this one?
No,
No, sorry, go on. I was looking at that, right?
To the right, more desk.
That one?
That one, yeah. What's
That's Steve Fryant's. Get Fire.
Ashbury. Ah, get
Yeah.
file.
Actually, that's really good. Get Fire.
He's not here this evening.
No, it's pretty good programming actually, that Get Fire. Do you know what it does?
No, no.
It was quite simple. If we just get rid of a few of these windows, because I'm more or less finished anyway, this stuff. I could say I wanted to open this one. So we've got a few windows, right? That one there. And save text area there. Have those on, maybe that one there. That one will be fine. If I do click on that, oh damn, wrong one. Menu on it. No, click on it. I'll get the right one in a minute. Sorry about this, folks. It's a bad night tonight. Click on that, which is the Get Filer. And name it My Windows. Oh, it's very simple. I say it's a brilliant bit of software. It is actually very, very simple what it does. And I can put it into, say, here. All it does is remember the position of windows. That's all it's doing, basically. So I can undo all those, get rid of them. So I've lost them all, but I want to get them back again. So I just double click on that, and it'll put them all back for me. So that's basically what it does. What I would like him to do, I've actually asked him, is he kind of hard about it. I think it's pretty quite tricky to do. When you put more files into this directory, I want it to scroll down, not that way, but vertically. Now, when you put more files in here, I think it does that automatically for you, doesn't it? I think Windows system does it automatically. But when you have it vertically, which is what I do, I like a lot of Windows vertically, it's just me, I'm awkward. When I put more files into that directory, I want to see them building up, growing, and it doesn't do that for you, which is a shame. So, minor bug.
It's like I've never understood why you would want to see the tree structure of files, and yet some people do.
Yeah, there's
So
a good
obviously
way of
people
doing that.
think in different ways and like to see
Yeah,
things
they
in
do.
different
It's
ways.
a
Yeah.
thing that, yeah, we all have different.
Yeah. I still love the fact that whenever they ask for an expert, and this is great, and I've seen some people's rooms like this, they go to somebody to university and there's just books and stuff all over. So working on that basis, I must be an expert.
Very good. Oh yeah. By the way, has anybody? There's a new site, French site, isn't there? You've gone on to that one. Do you recognise any of these?
The French Riscots one.
Yeah.
Right, I've
You're
seen,
right,
I've seen
French
it, I've not
Riscots,
been to it.
right.
Yeah,
Smile controlling. These all have files which somebody's compiled and put together, and they put them into different directories. I made an orchestra, ridiculous really, it's a stupid thing to be doing, but I just thought, I had a moment after I do this. Mad.
yeah.
But actually there's some quite good samples in there.
Yeah.
Obviously done through a sort of multi-timbral keyboard or something like that,
Yes,
I think.
yeah.
Because they seem to be, multi-tones.
Mm.
But some of them are quite, some quite nice sounds. Right guys, now look, I need some help from this. If I get rid of OHP,
Yeah.
quit, and I go on to well, any of the shows. It's, well, no, sorry, any of the sound shows, like the sound side show. I get this wonderful error coming up.
Which is?
If I describe it, it's 8118, a broadband data transfer. It's related to the sound in this in OHP, but I don't know whether it's OHP that's causing the problem or whether it's Play It. But OHP uses the module Play It.
Post-mortem,
Right.
Post-mortem.
that'll give you some
Good point.
that'll give you a dodgy window.
Yeah.
But it says here, it says in shared library function, there's an anonymous function. All the rest of it, I'm afraid, it's illuminated to me.
There's an updated version of Play It. I don't know.
I've got
whether-
it.
Have you got
Yeah, I've got
that?
it. Yeah.
It's at 1.36 or something.
1.73, I think.
73, yeah, 73, yes.
You can debug that if you write down the address, and then there is, because I went through a similar kind of thing to try and do some debugging.
Right.
Oh, it's on the Riscos forum site, Riscos Open forum site somewhere. You can run a command and it'll tell you what program, because it'll likely to be a
There is that thing
module.
called Where, isn't there?
Is it?
Which is that's David Rook's one, isn't it? Right. It tells you the module that the fault occurred on, but it doesn't. If you run it, if I do that, it should hopefully still be in the position where Where can get it. Where's on here? It does say it's not in any module, so it's not very helpful, really, is it?
It means you're probably actually in memory.
Memory. Yeah. I think you probably. It sounds like it's corrupting it in some way.
Play It's a module,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that means it's more likely to be OHP that's causing the problem.
Right. Yeah. I fear the chap probably wouldn't have the time to actually fix it. That's the thing. But it's a minor thing because I don't use sound in any of my slideshows. Really.
Well, no, its sound is one of the fun things that causes loads of problems ever since it went past
Yeah.
RISC-PC.
Yes.
It's
I think
been,
it does. Yeah. Yeah.
because I get that I've run an 890 for a number of years and I've got Pi last year.
Yeah.
Things will work and then they won't.
The funny thing is, by the way, this has worked better, the OHP that I've got, which is this version here. It's not on there, I can't. I'd have to reboot it, by the way.
Yeah.
When you do that, it happens like you have to reboot it to actually bring it up, which I can do, of course. But what was I going to say? It works better on this, on the Raspberry Pi, than
Right.
ever it did on the Ionics.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it. I can't believe it. Why? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no clue. Because I didn't think it was going to work with the thing with this sort of line
Right,
exceptions.
yeah.
I thought we had a real problem for it. It's fine. Apart from that problem, that
Yeah.
only one problem.
I mean, that could be an alignment exception thing or something.
No, I've turned it off. It makes no
Oh, you
difference.
turned it-
Yeah, I've turned it off as
I
well.
always get confused. Is alignment exceptions off? Does that mean it's on, or does alignment exceptions on mean it's
Oh, I
off?
think, when you switch it on, look, if you have a look at the... let me just reboot it because it doesn't take a long... That's the other thing about this, because it's so quick to reboot. Because it was not let me... It should let me do that. Yeah, of course it will. It'll be alright, no problem. I just rebooted just to make sure that nothing else has happened with the thing.
So is this a Noob's Pi or just a straight Pi SD?
Sorry.
Is it just a Noob's SD card or?
Oh, it's one I've
Just
created it from the
Right.
last, what do they call it?
Last
image.
update, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, not quite the last update.
No,
I need
somewhere close.
Somewhere close. One of the things about the new, about this update I've got, it's June, and apparently, do you remember there's a problem, isn't there, when you use the network, if you try and access, say, you're on your Ionics, and you want to bring back some files off here, it's incredibly slow.
Right.
It was an issue, quite a major issue I've had for a while, but apparently somebody said that they've actually fixed that.
Oh, right.
It's a lot
Everybody got
faster. It's a lot
Yeah,
faster on
that's
that way.
right.
Is it fixing the least they released?
There's two things though with doing transfers over shares. Because I was transferring files. What was it? I can't remember. It was either from to my Pandaboard to a RISC PC, and it kept. Oh, that was it. Just time out and just
Yes.
explode. And there's some option to type in to turn buffers on or off,
Right, yeah.
which really helps. But that's only if it's if you copy it and then all of a
Yes.
sudden it'll just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he'll get some error about service, can't find service.
Right.
Because I think
The
that's to do
networking one's
with,
been fixed.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. So I should get the normal speed back
Yeah,
as you
it's
would.
caused other issues on the Panda board.
Ah, yeah.
I think the download is now really, the upload is now really slow on the Panda board.
All right.
it depends how much
Yeah.
you're doing. Yeah.
But that's another thing they'll presumably debug.
Yeah.
But that's the trouble. You fix one thing,
Yeah.
Very
comes up
clever.
something else. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's in the release, but it's definitely in the
Right.
nightlies.
The next build, I think, that next line.
Right. See, the one I've got, if I just cancel that, is 5.21. It's the 3rd of June, which I think is obviously quite an old one now. So I'll upgrade it when I get back. I think it's really frustrating that. If you often you can't help you suddenly forget you've left a file on here and you want to transfer it to the IONX because you want to send it off somewhere, I don't know, whatever reason. And if it's a JPEG, they are so slow, aren't they, at transferring, for instance. Or anything, any large file, it's really, really slow.
It's not worth sticking on a memory stick and doing sneaking it.
Well, that's what I do. Yes, I stick it on a stick. Yeah.
Using share FSA or...
Yes, yeah, yeah. But it is a known fact, I know. Yeah. And I think as Malcolm has just mentioned it, I think he fixed it.
No, I think it...
Yeah, no, that one was the FS. Yeah, I think it is. It's the FS, but that one causes a crash.
Right.
What you're talking about affects, because I think we tried using SMB or what's it called, Landman 98.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
And he was saying, yeah, we've got the same,
Right.
problem on there, blah blah blah. And then
Fixed.
some guy said, yeah, that's
Right.
much better.
Oh, well, I'm going to try that, definitely, see what happens.
Try sunfish, moonfish as well, that's quite
Oh,
good.
yeah, that's another...
That's the combination I use.
Oh, really? That works well, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for
And
that.
certainly with an updated
Yeah. Right.
image.
Okay, lovely, thank you very much. Are you familiar with this this wonderful thing at the top here? Anybody know about it?
So next, something.
Yeah, it's called NextBar.
Next bar.
Right.
Probably see it up there. It's just an application launcher, but it's actually really a nice little one. It's really quite powerful actually. I just, as I say, I wish he was still alive, Paul Vigay, because he would have updated this by now.
Yeah.
But it's still a useful product. And it still works with the latest software. I'm pretty surprised at.
Yeah.
I thought it would have crashed at some stage.
I
But
think
it seems
it's,
right.
I think it's like Malcolm was saying, if you program something right, it's on Riscos.
That's
You
probably
put risk,
it.
go
Well,
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, he updated
That's
it to
it.
32-bit, so I think most of the stuff,
All this stuff, I think,
as
is-
long as it's not assembled, like
Right.
assembler, it should be okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I don't know about the programming side. I know you're into this, aren't you?
I like
I don't know how he's managed it, what he programmed it, and I don't
No,
know.
but Paul Vigay he's a legend.
Yeah, no, he was a legend, definitely. Yeah, really nice guy. It's totally tragic, really. But anyway, he created that, and I use it still quite a lot for doing things like this. Is really good for doing demonstrations. You don't have to open up this, which for some people, if there are people who don't know anything like this, about this, it's all rather complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, you start looking at directories and other things, open them all up. So I just have to click on that top bar to bring up the thing I want, say artworks or whatever it is. So it's quite a nice way of doing it. Anyway, guys, that's about it, I'm afraid. Sorry it hasn't gone off as smoothly as I'd like it to have done. That's sod's law, isn't it?
You always learn stuff by doing it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I've learned that I messed up my exit information.
Yes.
I overwrote it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
We don't call
But you did see that it
Twilight
does
Zone
work.
for nothing.
No.
We don't call this the Twilight Zone.
Well said. Yeah. Is there anything else I can tell you about here, or are you fairly happy with it?
If there's no questions from the audience, it's just your appreciation. That's it.
Great.
On the subject of application launches, I'm afraid it's some years since I was a regular user of RISC-OS. But I used to use one where you could pull almost like roller blinds.
No.
Yes,
I think it
blinds.
is called blind.
Yeah, it is
yes.
blind.
It was brilliant.
That was a good one. I used
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
And then
It was not only practical and functional, it was actually pleasant to use.
pleasant to use. Yeah.
I use one and it kind of it's like Next,
Mm.
but it's it just has just icons, and then you move it, if you move your mouse over one of the icons, it then
Oh,
Excellent.
yeah, I've seen that one. I can't remember the name of it.
I
Yeah.
think
Yes.
some of those have been 32-bitted. Steve
Oh, yeah.
tried to know better than me. But if you have a look through some back issues, you might find it in some of these Steve Fright PD ones. It's not something I've used, but I'm fairly sure I've seen that one of those two has been 32-bitted and made public domain. So, go trolling, as they say.
Well, I use that one at home on the Thunderbolt, so that's...
I think it's okay, yeah.
For the life of me, I can't remember what it is, because it's just, it runs on boots.
It just works. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't know what it
It's
is.
great when that happens, isn't it? Yeah, don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. What have I got loaded? I have no idea. It's just always been there. Yeah, sort of thing. Yeah.
I'm going to, with some of my images, which one of them, as you see there, in fact it will be this batch. I'm actually going to upload them to Pling, the Pling store.
All right.
But it'll be using a thing called BD Random. I don't think anybody's used that. It's this, no, it's not on there, but if I do Control I, you see this program here. Oh, come on, that's right. Anybody use that? It's quite a complex program to use, but it's actually fantastically powerful. It really is. Nick Roberts designed it. And you bung all your artwork in there, and then you can select either a sequential show, which is one after another, or a random show here. You've got random or sequential. And you can set a time delay as to when it changes.
Yeah.
And it puts everything on as you see here, on the backdrop.
Yeah.
And I'll have about, say 10 of my images on there, and the people can add to them whatever, as and when. A very nice sort of programming, very skillfully done actually. Not only is it, I don't know if anybody's used Nick Roberts stuff, I don't find it particularly user-friendly to start with, but when you get into it, it really is good. It's very, very powerful. Very powerful stuff. And he's also done a numbering system as well, a file renamer.
All right. Yeah.
Very, very good as well. Excellent. They're all on here. There's so much stuff that is good actually, still.
I think this is still one of the problems, isn't it? I mean, once upon a time you had all manufacturers and have like 2 pages of A4 and look at all these programs, and now it's, where do you think you might be able to find that?
Yes.
Isn't it? I know you're looking at something to do, try and sort that out, aren't you, Malcolm? Try and have a sort of repository of pointers.
Yeah, the time. The problem
It's the time.
is
It's the time of getting to do it,
Actually,
yes.
I started making good progress. Got my
Yeah.
website going, and then it's
Great.
just, I've not done anything on it for
Yeah.
about a month. It's
It's
just
difficult when you're working as well. I
Yeah.
mean, we understand that. It's just
working
difficult.
kids and then
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
other things to do.
Yeah. Too many.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah.
It's a bit like our friend Martin, isn't it?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I think since I know he's working on a big project at the moment apparently, but
Yes.
I think with the family as well, the young family to bring up,
Oh, yeah.
it takes a lot of time. People they forget that actually. But yeah. I just wish he brought a new version of Artworks out. Some new tools that be
I
really
think
good.
everybody does.
Yeah, I know.
It's traditional, isn't
It is, absolutely. You go to the show and you expect
It's a new
a new version of
Artworks.
Artworks. It's really annoying when it doesn't happen. It's 3 years, isn't it?
But then
Yeah,
again,
3 years.
so this is when you
Yes,
find out
yeah, did.
when you find out he's doing artworks and tech writer in his spare time,
know,
and his real
yeah.
job is doing Zara and
Yes.
something
Well,
else.
it's Starring works for a
Yeah.
company that operates Zara, yeah.
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 You sort of go,
Amazing chap.
what do I do with my spare time? Not a lot relative to
You
that.
probably do
yeah.
really. Yeah, 9 points plus title plus 2 spares. It's a rule of thumb I use to know how many slides I need in the sequence. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 1 for the title, that's 10, plus a couple of spares, which, if in case you want to set other text in there, invariably you forget a bullet point, you've got to put it in somewhere. It's easier putting it at the beginning and at the end. It's in the middle where it throws out the whole system, it can do, but it's that's just for your own... I like to have a nice flow when I see this, because if I'm not using PowerPoint, I like to put it into something like this, into Private Eye, and just check out what it looks like, see if it looks good, before putting it into HP perhaps. But anyway, lots of choices there really. So it says save AW file, naming it say 12, so let's do that. So we F3, I'm going to save it as 012 into here, to my file, temporary file dump, which is really only a directory. Now we have to go back with the other slides, so we're going backwards, yeah? So we've got all the main points, so we need to sort of do individual slides. And what I do quite like doing on these is I like to do this. I like to, sorry, if I click on that little icon there, it'll give me text colouring. And I like to set that to 10% black so it gives it a fade. So all the points you go through are faded, the previous ones are faded, which means that if you're stuck on that one there, but you think, well, maybe, I can't remember what the last one was, but it's always there, but it'll be faded. So I quite like that, it seems to work quite well for me. So I can save that again, and then I just work backwards to get the other slides in the sequence. Very easy this.
I think you just saved that as 11 or something, shouldn't you?
As 12.
As 12 again.
Yeah, because this is that's my main slide now. If I just put 12 up now, you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah, I just rewrote over it. It's, that's the point I'm coming to now. I'm going to go 11, 10, 9, just go on down the sequence. But of course we'll have to get rid of the bullet points each time we go down. You'll see how easy it is really. So we've got, sorry, ignore that. So we'll delete that one, but make that one black. And save it as 11. Yep. You've got to do this carefully because it's dead easy to make a mistake and your sequence goes out.
Yeah.
So Control X for that one goes to black. F3, that'll be 10. Get rid of that. Black. 009. Control X. Oop, get off. Black. Save that one as 8. Get rid of that. Save that one as black. 7. Control X. Make that black. Save that as 6. Get rid of that. Make that black. Save it as 5. Control X. Make that one black. Save that one as 4. And I tend to like to make the heading as my first slide. So I always make sure I get rid of all the bullet points and leave that one as my last, that's my main title. And I saved that, didn't I? As 3, which I did. And they're all in there. So we can now get rid of that. Just to check that the slides are all okay, I can just dump that now into Private Eye, and we can just go through them quickly. Sorry, to make sure they're looking good.
So you could almost use Private Eye as a...
Yes,
Yeah.
yes indeed. And the only thing about it is that you get the furniture. Window furniture looks horrible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're showing a slide, you want everything clear. If you're making points to people, you've got to make them, I mean this is far too long, all these things, I'd never do this in a slideshow normally. But you need the points as concise as possible, as large as possible. Utilise the whole screen if possible, as much as you can. Because you've got to think about the audience, you might have one person all the way down there somewhere.
Does Private Eye not do full screen? Or?
No,
I don't think it does actually, no, it doesn't. I don't think it does. I'm sure, no, I know, good point.
Yeah.
I like it. You know, it's a cheap way of doing it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But
Yeah, good
this
point.
is the thing, because I did something about presentation software earlier on this year, and it said basically, what is presentation?
Yeah.
Where it's something that gets rid of all your window furniture.
Yes, that's
That's
good way of summing it up,
number
actually.
one, you know.
Yeah, it's a good way of summing it up, it's
Yeah.
true.
But because I've done PowerPoint for donkey's years,
Yes.
what I have is a guideline of no more than 45 words a slide.
Yeah,
That's really good, because that usually narrows you down to
yeah.
about 6.
Yes.
Because as I say, and we have some holes like this at work, people may be 200 feet away.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if you're going to have more pictures, less words,
Mm.
you're going to have more words, more slides.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
There are lots of rules made up, they're very good, a lot of
Yeah.
rules I've read.
Yeah.
I think you just mentioned some of
Yeah.
those extra
Yeah.
ones as well.
Well, as I say, I've done PowerPoints
Yeah,
since maybe
you're quite an expert.
1993,
Yeah.
something like that.
Wow, that's going back a long time.
Well, it
I'm
was
probably a bit newer than
It
that.
was
am I?
Windows 3, let's put it that
That's a
way.
prison sentence.
Yeah, that's to make it more so. So I mean, obviously now you've got more. What you do then, you'd in this case, my file dump goes over to the OHP icon, dump it all in there, and this just to show you that it does work, properly. We hope anyway. I would then do Control A and then set the attributes on the slides. There's nothing we don't want to mess about any of those things. We don't want auto show. We don't want hidden. We want keep proportion. These are standard, by the way. The display things come up, and they are pretty standard. Most people keep them as they are, so we can say cancel on that. What I'd like to do is just to alter the transition, and probably put a dissolve in there and set that for all slides, as you can see. So if I run that now. If I run that now, I've not set any auto on it, so it should just go through them as and when I want them. So we can use the arrow key, the first one. I quite like the transition. It gives a sort of gentle thing to a fade, which I think is quite nice. It's not too tight on the eyes. Next one, and so on and so forth. I mean, it looks as though it's working correctly. I'd have a larger text size on that, by the way. It's a little bit small, particularly for those people at the back. You're following this? There's a man who's following it. Good man.
Yeah.
And the line length, far too long. I'd never, ever, I'd hope I wouldn't ever use that line length. It's too long for people. They think, that's too much to take in. They just want a single line, and it's supposed to be a reminder for me. And I shouldn't really be reading it. I should be highlighting a point and then discussing it with everybody. So
That's right.
there are lots of rules on this, but that's basically how I put this together.
That's half an hour.
It's half an hour.
Or a flat battery. So-
Interesting, isn't it?
So we can, I could save it, I suppose.
Star Trek-y movies, isn't
Isn't it just, yeah? I have to get the right one now, so cats, and I've just pressed the wrong one. Like you do.
Right. Get rid of that.
There you
Right. And the only other thing, I did mention to you sound, didn't I? That's interesting. You guys might be able to help actually. But anyway, let's let me just show you a sound demonstration. That's the sort of some of the pictures you've seen, but I've actually added soundtracks, the WAV files, to 3 of them. And I'll just show you, it's probably better just to run it through first. I can't remember. So you can actually do that. You can. So if I click on this first one here, and there's a thing called Control E for sound effects. What I do is I specify the length, or I measure the length of the sound file to correspond with that slide, say. So I mean, in this case, I think it's something like 10 seconds. I'll get all 10 seconds actually. So 10 seconds of sound with 10 seconds selected for the slide to be shown. And you just literally drag the sound into this window and it puts it onto this writable text bar. It automatically goes to the no sound effect to use this effect. It does that automatically for you. And you then select the play control now. I think that has to be set up automatically.
Of course, that's
Okay.
fine.
Oh, thanks. I like to use it, play at start to transition, but it says play on if slides changes. You've got these sort of various options here. And basically that's all there is to it. You've got a test button there, so if you've put the sound in, you're not sure about it, you just quickly check that and stop it.
So you could have a presentation and then record the voice on it, and then you don't even need to bother turning up.
You're too clever. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
you could.
clever now, sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky. Yeah, that's very sneaky. Isn't it, John? Look at that.
So you can't show the hidden slide.
No, actually, not sure it's inside here. Yeah, there must be a way.
Reversely.
So basically, I mean, that's all there is to the main aspects of it. I mean, you've got quite a nice little package. I mean, considering it's an ancient package, but it's still very powerful, really.
And so, say when I did the review of it, I said effectively, if you could build the full slide and deconstruct it, which is effectively what it's doing, it's making multiple slides from your master.
Rock, helping you with Acorn and Riscos computing.